Hello and welcome to Sincerely Elvis Presley. I'm Sean. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. And if you're not, thanks for returning. I really appreciate it. So I'd like to thank my wife for the idea for today's content. She said to me, now that you've started collecting vinyl again, why don't you do a bit of a beginner's guide and show people what to look for? I was initially sceptical. I kind of thought, well, there's enough people out there who are real experts in vinyl and have some incredibly impressive collections, and mine doesn't even come close. You know, I'm buying vinyl on a budget, whereas these guys, they've been collecting for a considerable length of time and they've got all sorts of different variations and what have you. So I didn't really want to come across as, you know, Billy No Idea dropping in and filling people's heads full of rubbish. I mean, I will say that the approach that I'm taking with collecting vinyl is not an audiophile approach. That's not the road I'm going down at all. Initially, what I wanted to do was kind of replace the vinyl that I'd had as a youth, and I didn't want it to cost a lot of money. The main reasons I don't want to go down the audiophile route relate to money and space. If you're going to have a record collection that you can play and listen to in fantastic quality, then you're going to need a very decent amp, a decent deck and a decent set of speakers. And they're not going to be cheap. And once you've laid out for them, then you've got to find somewhere to put them. Now downstairs in our house we have a pretty decent Denon system with Mission speakers, and that's how I listen to my CDs. But I just would not have the space to fit an amp, record deck, etc, etc. I just couldn't do it. And you saw in the walk around in the first episode, if you watched that, there simply is not the space in this office. I do have a record deck that I acquired a couple of weeks back, but in actual fact it outputs via Bluetooth because I just could not fit speakers in. So what I'm experiencing is not an audiophile experience, but that's not the reason that I wanted to collect. I just wanted to own those albums that I had again. And the albums themselves, basically, they fall into the same category really. Cost, storage. You know, most top quality Elvis releases, whether they're originals or new releases coming out, you're going to be paying £30-40 upwards for a release. And I just don't have that kind of cash, you know. I think a lot of you out there that are Elvis fans will relate to the fact that you just cannot collect everything. It's not possible. Unless you've got absolutely bottomless pockets, it's not possible to afford it all. And also it's not possible to find somewhere to put it all. I mean, you know, I decided that my focus really was primarily going to be books and CDs as well, and bits and bobs of memorabilia, but vinyl was never really on my sort of radar until recently. So the decision to go down the vinyl route means that I'm restricted by space and I'm also restricted by price. So that having been said, if you're tuning in and you want to know more about the audiophile experience of Elvis collecting, there are a couple of channels I think you should take a look at. And that's Scotty's Elvis Presley music channel and Steve's TCB since '73. Both of those guys are really knowledgeable on Elvis vinyl and they have really impressive collections. So if you go and have a look at what they've got to offer, I'm sure you'll find things of interest. This is a complete flip side to that. This is the bargain basement, if you like. I wanted to sort of show people maybe that are new to collecting vinyl and just dipping their toes into the water. Maybe they've just bought themselves, I don't know, something like a Crossley record player and they fancy listening to some Elvis vinyl. They've got interest in Elvis but don't really know where to start. So I wanted to kind of show my journey recently and what I've found and how things can be done on a bit of a budget. But before we do, let me just give you a flavour of the minefield of Elvis record labels that you may well encounter once you start on that journey. And this is by no means comprehensive. There are many, many more than this. I'm only talking about UK labels, because this is not going to be an hour-long video going into every single permutation worldwide. I don't have the time or the knowledge for it, to be frank. But let me give you just a flavour of the British labels you might encounter if you start looking through second-hand records. So we begin with the large silver spot, 1957 to 1962, that was in circulation. That is then replaced with the small silver spot, and that only lasts between 62 and 63. And then there's the red spot. And by the way, all these are called, you can see the little RCA logos. That's the spot we're talking about. So the red spot, that lasts 64 to 68. That's replaced briefly by the small orange RCA label, and that's 69 to 71. Large orange comes in 69 to 79. Then we've got the lime international label, 70 to 83. The blue Camden label, 71 to 78. The blue RCA label that came in after Elvis passed, that lasted from 78 to 83. And then we have the black RCA label that came in 1980 to 1982. That's just a flavour. And if you're dipping your toes into collecting, you may look at that and already be bewildered. And believe me, you know, that's a rabbit hole you can easily go down. And there are books dedicated to that kind of topic and subject, and they're fascinating. I love those books. You probably already realise if you've watched any of my other videos, I do love detail. But winding back again, that's not the sort of record collecting that I really wanted to talk about today. This is record collecting on a budget. So where can you start? Well, because vinyl has experienced a huge resurgence in the last decade or so, most towns have at least one second-hand record shop. They've sprung up all over the place. Some better than others, but there are some great ones out there. In fact, I'm going to give a little plug. I live in Lincolnshire in the UK. If you're ever in this area, get yourself down to a town called Spalding, and believe it or not, a garden centre called Baytrees. But within that garden centre is a record shop called Uptown Records, and it's huge, absolutely huge. The amount of stuff they have is mind-boggling, and their prices are not ridiculous by any means. That's just my little example. I'm sure you've got examples of your own. Then there's antique shops, antique fairs, that kind of thing. You'll often find people with second-hand vinyl there. You can go further than that, you know, charity shops, car boot sales, you know, yard sales, that kind of thing. There's all sorts of places where second-hand vinyl will turn up. And, you know, if people are just having a clear out, you can pick yourself up some real bargains. I'm going to show you a couple of examples of recent bargain finds that I've had, mostly from the record shop I just quoted, but it just goes to show that, you know, you don't have to pay a fortune. So here we have original, got some glare going on there. We've got an original UK press of Let's Be Friend on the International Camden label. This copy is in not bad condition at all, and I paid the princely sum of £2. £2. Now this, if I get this out, people might recoil in horror if they're into their vinyl, because I haven't cleaned any of these, so they're probably covered in all sorts of detritus, but I will get round to cleaning them. But £2, can't go wrong. And it's funny actually, I know this is an international, but the international stroke Camden releases, I think just about every single Elvis channel out there has done a feature on the Camdens, which is hilarious really, because for years they were decried as budget hodgepodge creations, and yet I think most people that have been into Elvis for a number of years, the Camdens hold a special place of affection in their hearts. Do certainly for me, because when I first heard the Elvis 40 Greatest Hits tape in late 74, the first things that I got to collect after that were the Camdens, because the Camdens were available in supermarkets and they were 99p. So what I'd do is, when we used to go on our shopping trips, I'd just mither my parents to see if I can perhaps sneak a 99p album in. So, you know, I had Separate Ways, Easy Come, Easy Go, the US Mail, etc., etc. So I think, like a lot of Elvis fans, I have a real sort of soft spot in my heart for the Camdens. And talking of Camdens, although this is another international, but there we go, I got lucky. And I did, because this was £2 as well. Same shop, £2. How can you go wrong? You can't. Again, you probably look at this and say, oh, he doesn't look after his vinyl. Well, you know, I only got it, I think, last weekend, and it's been stuck away and I haven't done anything with it since. But £2. And it isn't just the budget releases that you can get still for budget prices. I picked up during the same little shopping trip what, in my opinion, is one of Elvis's finest albums, and I'm sure a lot of you agree. Elvis Country, 1971 UK release. And I love the fact it's still got the original Pay No More sticker on it. But this is in not bad shape at all. Not bad shape at all. It didn't come with the bonus photo that was supposed to be with it, but if you're buying on a budget, are you really going to be bothered with that? I wasn't. And how much did I pay for this 1971 original? 4 of your finest English pounds. £4. Okay. Needs a clean, but not bad condition at all. Yep, someone's kindly written in pen in the inner sleeve the catalogue number, which is most helpful of them. But yeah, that's not the sort of thing that's going to worry you at all, really, at £4. Now the thing is, if you're to go on sites like eBay, those kind of bargains will turn up. But there's a problem, as far as I can see. Yes, the price itself could be a bargain, but then you've got to factor in the shipping on top, which is usually doubling the price. So something like that Elvis Country at £4, if you were to find a copy in such good condition on eBay, you probably got another £4 or £5 postage on that. And the lottery of online auctions I've found where it comes to vinyl is, how good are the photographs and how good is the description? You know, do those photographs show any creases that might be on the cover, or aren't they taken in enough resolution for you to be able to see? And there's another thing as well, you know, if you get somebody that deals in vinyl, when they post it to you, chances are it's going to be really nicely packaged and it's going to get you to in great condition. It's going to arrive exactly as you'd expect it to arrive. But what I've found is that if you've got somebody that's maybe selling off their parents' collection because they've passed, or they've done a house clearance and there was a load of Elvis vinyl, that's not really their stock in trade. And I've had some horrors come through the post where basically they've just basically put it in a bit of bubble wrap and then stuck a carrier bag around it and thrown it in the post. And you'll end up with albums that have managed to survive nearly 50 years in beautiful condition, and then by the time the sorting office has kicked it around, the cover's all creased and damaged, and it's a real shame. So I'd advise caution with eBay. There's some good stuff to be picked up, but I don't think it beats being there, actually handling that product yourself, being able to give it a good old examination and make sure you're happy with what you're buying. Now next we have original pressings that go back a little further than what I just showed you, because what I decided to do is set out to replace the vinyl that I had as a youth, but most of that vinyl was purchased 70s into the 80s. So when it comes to the albums that were 50s and 60s, I never really had the original pressings. Mine were all sort of 70s repressings. I think pretty much everything I had started on an orange label. I didn't have anything older than that. So this time around, what I've decided to do is try and get hold of the original pressings, or close to, if I can. And what I've found is, you know, the mono pressings of most of the 60s albums are obviously more readily available than the stereo, because the stereo wasn't made in such great numbers. And I think for a decent enough press, and I'm not talking mint quality, again, we're not going down the audiophile route. I'm talking about a nice, usable copy with a cover in reasonable condition. I think you're looking anywhere between £10 and £15 for that kind of release. I'll show you the difference between two to just illustrate what I mean. So this is an £8 copy of Girl Happy. Not bad condition, really. Not bad at all. Quite yellowed though. That's the thing, quite yellowed. And the vinyl inside, not too bad, but could be better. Now the difference between an £8 and just another £4, this copy was £12. And the difference, let's see, it's quite noticeable, especially the yellowing. So just £4 difference between those, but that extra, I think once you push the £10 mark, you can expect something in reasonable condition. As I say, that was £12, and the vinyl is in much better condition as well. So, you know, I don't think that's too bad at all. £12 for an original pressing of the UK mono release of Girl Happy. This is another £12 one. Harem Holiday, UK release, mono again, but not a bad copy at all. Red spot label, and the vinyl's in nice condition. And the final one I'll just show you, I think I paid £10 for this one. Original press of Double Trouble, UK mono, really nice clean sleeve, and red spot, vinyl in nice condition. So they're out there, and you don't have to spend a fortune to get the originals. 50s pressings of albums, they're going to cost you more. Understandable, really. But anyway, you might be saying to yourself, well, Sean, that's all well and good, but I've just bought myself a little record player. I fancy getting into Elvis vinyl, and I can't be bothered with all that faff. I don't want to be traipsing around record shops, tracing around car boots, going into all these places, hit and miss. Am I going to get a decent copy, aren't I? I just want to go onto Amazon or HMV and order a brand new Elvis album, have it arrive the next day, stick it on the turntable, Bob's your uncle. Well, it can be done, and you don't have to spend a fortune. What I'm going to talk to you about is European grey imports, as they're known. Now, let me stress, these are perfectly legitimate and legal releases. The rules to do with copyright are different in Europe, and these particular albums are pressed in Europe and sold on the likes of Amazon, HMV. Although I would say, if you're going to go down this route, I would recommend looking at sites like Rare Waves, Juno, Vinyl Tempo, because they seem to have a much better selection, and you can get them at better prices than Amazon or HMV or the likes of those. Right, so these European pressings, what are they all about? Well, there's several labels doing this. There's Vinyl Lovers, there's Doll, which is DOL, and there's Wax Time and Wax Time in Colour. They seem to be the main ones. I don't have any vinyl lovers ones, but I do have selections from the other two. So I just wanted to sort of show you these and let you have my thoughts on them. So, Doll. Where's it? Doll. There we are, DOL. Now, the Doll records are pretty straightforward represses of Elvis originals, and they only go so far into his catalogue, probably due to the length of the copyright. They probably only get allowed to go so far, because I think this might be one of the last they go to, Fun in Acapulco. I'm not sure I've seen anything more recent in terms of Elvis catalogue than this, but very basic repress. You get the original sleeve. When I open this, you'll see that it's in a poly-lined white sleeve. Now, the thing about these Doll pressings, they don't come like that. They come in these horrid plastic things that usually end up all scrunched up when they've been put into the sleeve in the factory, and yeah, don't like these at all. So immediately swap them out for poly-lined white ones. But most of the Doll pressings are on coloured vinyl. So Fun in Acapulco is a nice transparent green, and they also, a lot of them, play at 45 RPM. And I think that's an audiophile thing. I think there's a greater clarity at 45 rather than 33. I say I'm not sure. I'm not really into the whole audiophile side of things, but yeah. There's your Doll pressing. Now, Doll, £12 to £13 on some of the sites I mentioned, so Rare Waves, Juno, etc. And the thing I would say is, sites like that, they seem to have flash sales a lot. When I picked the great majority of these up, they were, I think it was Rare Waves, had a flash day of 15% off everything. So 15% starts taking it down to the just £10–11 mark for a brand new album. I don't think you can go wrong. Some people can be a bit sniffy about these issues. I believe that they're transferred from CD and not the original analog masters. But for me, this is all about collecting on a budget. And, you know, unless you've got a top rank system, they sound just fine. They really do. So there's a Doll press. Now, Doll versus Wax Time. This is an interesting. So this is a Wax Time press. Now, the thing that Wax Time do that Doll don't is they tend to make a bit more effort with the sleeves. So although you're not getting the original back of the sleeve, you're getting some really nice liner notes. They put it together in such a way that it looks contemporary of the time. You know, there's some real thought and care gone into this, which I think is lacking really. The Doll presses just tend to knock out the original cover in lower resolution than it was originally. So definitely Wax Time win on that one. Wax Time go with a lot of coloured vinyl as well. Another advantage that Wax Time have is they come in polyline paper sleeves straight away, so you don't have to go to the trouble of swapping them out yourselves. And the sleeves themselves are a lot more substantial than the Doll ones. Now, what I've got here, there's a Doll press of Blue Hawaii, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see, but the sleeve is much heftier on the Wax Time. It's just a heftier sleeve, and I think this one's blue as well. I can't think of it. Blue Hawaii. No, I think this one's turquoise actually. So it's turquoise Hawaii, not blue Hawaii. But yeah, nice vinyl. I don't think this is a 45. So very similar indeed. This says HQ virgin vinyl, 180 grams. So they're both on 180 grams. But Wax Time, slightly more expensive, £14 to £16. But again, if you can get them in one of the flash sales, you know, you're going to be bringing them down to the sort of £12 mark, something like that. But I think they have it over the dolls, the Wax Times. You get a better quality sleeve, you get a better quality inner sleeve, you get more care taken over the sleeve itself and the liner notes. And not only that, pretty much every single one of their releases contains at least 1 or 2, sometimes up to 4 bonus tracks, which the doll pressings don't have. They're the album as it was recorded with no frills. Yeah, Wax Time. You can do a comparison here as well. So that is a doll press of Elvis's second album, Rock and Roll No. 2, as it was known in the UK, with a pretty standard, straightforward reproduction of the sleeve, and quite a thin sleeve again. Now this one, again, I've swapped out the inner sleeve to a paper polyline. This is on orange vinyl. Nice release, don't get me wrong. The Wax Time, however, heavier sleeve. This says that it's a collector's LP series limited edition. They all say limited edition. I'm not entirely convinced they are. But as with the other one, you know, you get a bit more attention to detail, liner notes that have been crafted especially for the release, and bonus tracks, Too Much, Hound Dog, Anyway You Want Me, Lordy Miss Claudie. So you get 4 bonus tracks on this. Talking about the bonus tracks though, with the Wax Time, I noticed that on a lot of them the bonus tracks are the same bonus tracks. They haven't got a great big pool that they're using. This is a black vinyl release. There's a static going on there. But then again, not all the doll vinyl is coloured anyway, so got your variation there. Here's another Wax Time, Loving You. And it made me chuckle, this. So 180 gram, limited edition, classic LP, high definition, premium virgin vinyl pressing for super fidelity. The nicest thing you can do for your stylus and your ears. The ultimate record, the way music was meant to be heard, and this is it. If ever there's selling yourself down, and good enough for audiophiles. Oh, okay, it's good enough for audiophiles. Thanks for that. Yeah, but maybe it's a translation thing. Not sure. But yeah, same care gone into the sleeve with the liner notes and the pictures and what have you. Thoroughly recommend these. What bonus tracks have we got here? I Want to Be Free and Paralysed. 2015 this was released. So they've been around a while. Just show you a couple more, just so you get a flavour, and they're all going to be the Wax Time now because I prefer them. Girls, Girls, Girls. Lovely black sleeve. Bonus tracks, Just Tell Her Jim Said Hello and Good Luck Charm. And this one is on rather fetching translucent red vinyl. Lovely stuff. The debut album, or 1254 as some people call it, because its original catalogue was LPM 1254. Great sleeve notes, images, including some of the EPs and singles and what have you. Heartbreak Hotel, Don't Be Cruel, Shake, Rattle and Roll, and I Want You, I Need You, I Love You bonus tracks. And this is in a rather nice green vinyl. I don't know, it looks a bit blue there, but it is green. And what I like as well is that they tend to use the sleeve colours as a cue for the colour of the vinyl if they're going coloured. So, you know, it's vaguely reminiscent, the green there, of the green on the cover. You know, Girls, Girls, Girls was red because of the red on the cover. But this one's a bit weird. His hand in mine. Same attention to detail. But something went strange with this one. So you can almost picture the conversation in the record company. Like, okay, what colour's primarily on the sleeve of this? Well, it's a sort of creamy white. Oh, we can go with white then. No, we can't go with white because we used white for the Christmas album because it was white for snow. Yeah, so yeah, we can't go with white. Oh. Well, what sort of album is it? Well, it's a religious album. It's a sacred album, gospel, if you like. Yeah. What colours haven't we used so far? Well, we've got a lot of brown left. I mean, brown? Why? How odd. How odd. Not the choice I'd have gone for, but hey. Right, there you go. Hopefully what I've been able to show is that you can build up a decent Elvis vinyl collection without paying a fortune. You know, you think about it. If you were to go for, well, I mean, let's not go near the Follow That Dream vinyl releases because they're going to command a huge amount. But let's go for just your sort of standard sort of Sony re-releases of things. And some of the various bits and pieces that you can get hold of relatively easy, you could be talking up to £40 an album for some of those. So 10 albums, just to get 10 albums is going to set you back £400. For £400, you can build yourself a nice little collection, either from the second-hand market or from the, you know, the European grey import market. So yeah, that's the way I've gone, and I'd highly recommend it. It's been quite a nice experience to drop a stylus onto vinyl again. It's been 83, 84 was probably the last time that I did that with an Elvis album, and I would say probably early 90s was probably the last time I did that full stop. So yeah, I'd kind of forgotten what a nice analog experience that could be. And you know, you don't have to spend a fortune to enjoy it. Anyway, I hope you found that useful and of some interest, and if you did, I hope you'll give me a like on the like button, and if you'd like to see more content from me, maybe consider subscribing. I upload new content every Sunday at 6 PM GMT, so you'll always know where you can find me. Next time, I'm going to be looking at a couple of import CD box sets covering Elvis's movie years. Until then, take care. Ta-da.
We'll meet you again. May God bless you. Adios.